110 tree sliders. Took me a while to find the ones I wanted. Finally put them both on. I made sure to do one first before I showed you on the video. But it was a bit easier than I thought, and I was a little bit more reckless than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, they're on, and let's see how we do it. So just going straight into the unboxing. There's a lot of cardboard and plastic here, but at least they, they're safe in transport, and they came with no scratches or dents. I feel like these weigh about 40 kilos as a pair, so carrying them wasn't very fun, and also it's going to add weight to the Landy, but you can't really complain. At least it is adding support. Next up, I'm going to have a look at the first sort of measuring up and placement, because there's no instructions with these. It came with some bolts, but that's it, so not too bad. And as you can see here, I'm struggling along trying to just wing it, and yeah, it's going pretty well. So when it comes to this side, it's going to be my first time. There's no instructions, never taken the sill off before, so I'm just going to struggle through it and do it without any instructions, and then once I know how to do it, I might film the other side in a bit of a tutorial. But this is my first time doing it, so don't really listen to me, but just be cool to see how they go and what they look like after. So let's see how it goes. Straight off the bat, you undo the bolt that connects the bulkhead to the chassis, and then that bolt goes through there, and then this side sits against one of the outriggers. You have to drill two 10mm holes for M10 bolts that comes with it, and you drill it on with that. This one, I guess, is for when you have another sill to bolt onto, but this is so strong here, this isn't actually needed with a utility. But what I probably will do is make a new piece of metal that goes to the chassis off here for extra support, in case you hit a tree or a rock, probably just a rock, this side of the outrigger, to stop it from bending. But it's a bit of a pain, and I thought I'd do the other side first to work out how to do it before I do it on camera, and it's not fun, I'll tell you that. There's a lot of cutting. I was going to try and preserve these sills, but because this is so old and it's never come off, and there's lots of rust proofing sort of prevention over the time, it's time to rock on the bolts. Even a wire brush doesn't really get it off, but a lot of it's just sort of seized on, so there's a lot of hammering and cutting, unfortunately. So I might just do a time lapse of that. It's very brutal. Try and be careful with the body panels, but I'm just happy to get them off and then get these on, and it seems like the quickest way possible. I'll be here for days and I need to wash it, but it works for me, and I hope you find a better way of doing it, especially if your Defender is from 2014, which this one is not. Yeah, so under here, this is the bulkhead attachment to the outrigger. On the other one, this nut here was very seized because it hadn't been changed, but thankfully this outrigger has been tweaked with recently by Broad Lane Land Rovers and put a new one on, so there's a new piece of threaded bolt here, and it comes off much easier. It's just some Dinitrol that's stopping it from coming off, and I can do it with my fingers, so it's much easier. But this is where you undo. You don't have to take the bolt out. Well, you probably will have to take the bolt through to about here when you actually mount the new slider, but it will just go onto this bolt, and then you put this nut back on, and that's where it mounts at the front, and then it mounts on this outrigger is the second place where it goes. But at the moment, I don't want to jinx it, but this side's seeming easier. As we always say, Ben said before, there's always one side that's harder, and this side, thankfully, the second side, as the sun's starting to go, is easier. So fingers crossed the rest of it goes like that as well. So here is the sill to body mounting point. They're 10mm bolts. These are a bit cruddy again, but they're not as bad as the others. They're not as bad as the other ones, so I'm just gonna take these ones off. And as you get further down the body, the sill is actually bolted up into the so the sill is mounted up through into the body sort of panels with bolts, and those are just cut. So these are just going to be a little bit neater for now if anyone wants to put a sill back on, but yeah, sort of bodging it a little bit. anyone who's sad about me doing this, I'm very sorry. I know they're original, but I'll just be here all day trying to save things, and they're just bolted on, so yeah. So there's a support bar sticking out the side of the tree slider, and it actually goes along this edge of the outrigger here. I'm hoping that these bolts actually line up with it, because on the other side they didn't, because actually here, as you can see, there's the box, so it'd be quite difficult to be able to drill into there without going at a weird angle. So we're gonna have to look at that, but first things first, what you have to do is clean this so you don't get rust in the future on the mating surface. Thankfully under here it's been rust proofed at Southwest Rust Proofing with Dinitrol, so it's pretty good. What I'm going to do is clean it off, and then I've got some Dinitrol cavity wax, spray it on there, then when it bonds it will hopefully dry between and stop it from rusting in the future. It's got rust proofed in the summer. It's impressive now in December how much mud has accumulated. If anyone wants to be annoyed about me cutting corners, this is where I'm working. I had a workshop and a lift and a dry floor. I might spend a bit more time, give it a wash, let it dry. Got limited time, limited light, and this is where my feet go. So let's get on with it. So there you go, there's the slider up against that bolt. Just push that bolt through to hold it in place, and now it pretty much holds itself really. And as you can see, it goes on the inside of that outrigger there. Gonna spray some more of that cavity wax now it's dried. And actually one of the bolts, you can sort of see it shining through, does line up. So hopefully it'll be quite easy to drill that one, and the other one, I think I'm gonna have to do a bit of an angle. This one was slightly off just then, so I thought I would put this one in first and this one's gonna go in. There you go. That one wouldn't go in the way it was before, so that's nice and easy. I'm gonna quickly put these nut and washer back on, and then fit it through from the other side. See it come out. There's my hammer. And there you go, there's the passenger side on. Looks a little bit cleaner than the rest of the truck. Yeah, you can see looking nice. The actual gap on this side's a bit better than the other side. Yeah, I'm super happy with those. I've been off some ledges where it dinked the actual sill up in there, so being able to have some strength there, and it also just looks a bit better. One side went much easier than the other. This side, I feel the bolts were already undone. It was a little bit cleaner. One of the outriggers had been changed, so the bolt was nice to get off. It slightly didn't fit as well, but it still, that didn't slow me down that much. I'd say this took about 2/3 of the time of the other one, maybe a half of the time. And that's just through knowing it, and that's why I wanted to get the other one on before I actually showed you how to do it. I was really happy that this one had that side support going down the outrigger, because that gives it a lot of proper support, and as you can see, there's no rattling and it moves the whole truck, and it just looks a bit cooler as well as giving a lot of protection. Anyone that wants to do this, I would say if you have a workshop and it's dry and you've got the time, I would make sure to get it up on a ramp or just try and get a jet wash underneath. Get all the mud out of the inside of the sort of bend in there and off all the bolts, and get ready to get a little bit dirty. For me, I found it as much easier to just be careful of the bodywork and just cut them off and hit them with a hammer. That's always a good one, but being careful with the rest of it, and being able to do that saved me about an hour and a half, I'd say, maybe more, and also meant I could get it done in one day in the light. And they're both on now and they are ready to go, so I'm very happy with what they look like and ready to go off-road with them. Not sure they actually help in terms of getting in. You actually have to step your leg out a bit more, so if you don't like that sort of tree sliding side of it, you can get the rock sliders, just the bar there. But I'm gonna get some grip tape to go on top soon, and yeah, gonna have to give them a try. Don't think I'm gonna do a review of them because it's, you know, rock sliders, they're not really anything to review, but I'm happy with these, and a bit of a job, but happy to have done it now, and it's yeah, time to get tested.